Soul Force Revolution.
Welcome back to Inconvenient Vedic Truths. This one we're going to talk about the prison house, the prison bars behind me. This whole material world is described like a prison house, and actually the material energy is personified by the goddess Durga. So Durga literally means difficult to pass, or she's like the prison warden in a sense. And Goddess Durga has been invested with incredible power to keep all the souls, the jivatmas, the souls that have fallen from service in the spiritual world and wanted to defy God and become God. So we're all here like little gods playing around, but we're in the prison house. What's the four walls of the prison house? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, birth, death, old age and disease. So of course we're playing around here mostly in ignorance of these things and try sort of avoiding them, but they can't be escaped. But we tend to not think about them and just go about enjoying. And what are we enjoying? We're enjoying the senses of the body. We're placed in a particular body and then trying to enjoy the senses. You know, we want to see things, hear things, smell things, taste things, touch things, and the ultimate sensual satisfaction comes in the opposite sex. So a man is chasing after a female form and a female is chasing after a man. Of course, some men are chasing after men, some women are chasing after women, but the same principle is there, that actually the sense objects that we're attracted to are pretty much personified in the opposite sex. So we like to see a beautiful form, and then we like to hear the words or singing from them, and then we like to touch, and then ultimately engage in sexual intercourse is the ultimate sort of gratification of the sense of touch. And also smell is there. So all the senses are pretty much engaged perfectly in material sense gratification in the opposite sex. So everything we're doing in this world really revolves around that, even though there's other kind of pleasures. There's other sensual pleasures, that's the culmination. And so that's why it's said that's what's ultimately keeping us here. Pumsastriya matuni bhavametam. So the sex attraction between the male and the female is so powerful, and then it says it ties the hearts in like a knot, and then from there we generate all sorts of other illusions. So we get together and then we create a family and children, and then we need a house and a job and a car and all the gadgets, and we have to work hard. So yeah, we become entangled in material existence, trying to enjoy and trying to be happy, but then we're still not happy because we're not getting the satisfaction that we need. The soul is inside needing the satisfaction, just like if you polish a bird cage but you forget to feed the bird, then it just withers and dies. If you cut a branch off a tree, then it's not connected anymore, so it withers. So we're a bit like that. We're still living, but we're by the Vedic standards, that if we're not in a spiritual consciousness, then actually we're sort of said to be dead whilst breathing. So the senses are supposed to be engaged spiritually, and not just in gratifying themselves. They have to be connected. So we are the individual spirit in the body, but then we connect to the source of the supreme spirit, the supreme person, Sri Krishna. And then we get satisfaction, we get spiritual satisfaction, because that's where we're supposed to be. That's just how reality is, according to the Vedic wisdom, that we are Anandamayo Vyasat. That we're searching after pleasure, we're searching after bliss, Ananda, but this world is opposite of that, is near Ananda. So we're now in the prison, and we're just playing around in the prison house. There's so many attractions to this prison. If you you went to just a regular prison, you'd be very limited. Certain prisoners would be allowed to, I don't know, maybe walk around the yard, or maybe play some sport, or watch the TV. But of course, there's a certain limit to freedom, and then you have to go back to your cell, and then you're just waiting for the day that you can actually have freedom. So the analogy is there that we have a certain amount of things we can do in this world, but we're still bound by these four walls of birth, death, old age, disease. So we can only do things within that. No one wants that. That's the ultimate thwart to your enjoyment, is these four main problems. And so whatever enjoyment we can try and have, even if we're very wealthy or beautiful, or we have any of these opulences, then we don't have them unlimited, and we don't have them for unlimited amount of time. They're there for a certain amount of time. We try and enjoy them. Like you can be a movie star with so much money and so much fame and beauty and all that, but after a certain amount of time, it's gonna vanish. And as we dwindle and die, unfortunately, that's the situation we're in this world. But it's not a natural situation. We don't want to face these things, because actually innately we shouldn't be subjected to these things. The reason that we try and avoid them, and we don't generally want to talk about them, is that they're unpleasant. They're actually unnatural to the self, to the blissful eternal spiritual self. Then we don't like to hear these things, and so generally they're avoided. But you can't escape them, but you can transcend them. So we're not going to try and run away from these things. Where are we going to go to escape these things? They're there in all different species. So we're actually not just traveling through this one body, but then after this, because of the desire that we're creating, and then we create another body, and then we enter into that body, and then we try and enjoy again and again. So all these different species of life. It said there's 8.4 million species of life. So there's all kinds of different species that we can go in and experience, but we're still within the prison. But it's only human life that you can understand this. You can't explain this to the cats and the dogs or the birds. They're just going through the cycle. So when we come out, it's a bit like coming to the top of the cycle of the human form, and then we can use that. We can use the intelligence to end the cycle, or we can use intelligence not to end the cycle, and we can misuse it and just carry on in sense gratification, maybe in a more sophisticated way than animals. But then we lose the human form of life, and so eventually you can end up going back into that cycle. So this is not a pleasant experience. Well, there's some pleasant experiences, and then there's some unpleasant, just mixed. But you can't avoid the unpleasant. You can't avoid the old age, the disease, and the death, and then the rebirth. So so ultimate compassion is to understand this cycle. Free ourselves from it, and then try and teach other people the process to free ourselves from it. So it says in Bhagavad Gita, Daiveshu gunamayi mamamaya dharatya mamavya prapadyante mayamitam tarantite. So Krishna says this divine energy of mine, consisting of three modes of mature nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, it's very difficult, almost impossible to overcome. But those who surrender unto me can easily cross beyond it. So by your own strength, it's impossible. The only way you can do it is if you can extinguish all your desires. If you have no desire whatsoever, which is practically impossible, then you want to take another body, but you'll merge again into the effulgence of the Brahman, the Brahma Jyoti. But that's not permanent either. So there's a certain amount of bliss, there's eternality there, but it's not actually a position that you'll stay in, because desirous of activity, you can again fall back down into the cycle. We may well have been there and been back, so that's not the permanent solution. So by your own strength, that's about the only thing you can achieve is temporarily that kind of liberation, Brahma Suyuja Mukti, but that's not a permanent situation, and nor is there activity or variety or anything there. But if we surrender and engage in Bhakti Yoga, devotional service to the Supreme Person, immediately we're free. We don't have to wait even till the end of his body or something like some future. Now immediately we become to the platform of of Brahman, Brahma Bhuta. Mam Tirov Yabacharana Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samitityatan Brahma Bhuyai Kalpate. So yeah, engage in this devotional service, it brings you to this platform of Brahman automatically. You don't need to wait to, somehow extinguish all your desires and go to this Brahman. You'll immediately come to that platform where you're satisfied within, you see everything equally. So that's just a basis for spiritual life, being in this situation. But when we're situated in that, what do? We engage in service, in loving service. It's not slavery. In this world, we don't really like the idea of service because often we're forced to work for someone as slave away. But this is the opposite of spiritual service, is loving devotional service. So that produces bliss in the relationship with the all blissful person. So yeah, in the Vedas, God is a person. It's not just an impersonal energy. Just because we're people, and the origin is a person. How can the origin be devoid or any less than what we are? Sometimes people say, "Oh, God's just energy," but when you say just anything, then that's a limitation. It's just this, just that. No, it's everything. It is personal and impersonal, but ultimately, the source is personal. Just like we are people, we can do things. I can do a painting, and that my energy is there. I'm sort of in the painting impersonally, but I'm not there. I can become the painting in a way, but the painting can't become me. So yeah, God can spread everywhere into all species and all nature like that, and we develop that vision to see the Supreme everywhere. But Krishna says I'm not there. In one sense, it's my energy, but I'm not there. So it can become impersonal, but the impersonal cannot become personal. So the person's always there, remaining. That's the source of everything. Is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So of course we often don't want to hear this either, because our experience in this world of people is troublesome, especially someone all powerful. If that was an evil person, yeah, that'd be terrifying. We don't want to hear that. We're going, no, there's none of that. There's no God, or if there's God, it's just impersonal, just energy. But no, if we trust that that person is benevolent, and actually everything that's happening, even if it doesn't seem to be beneficial, ultimately everything's beneficial. Even like a reversal, even something like your whole life could fall apart, and then you realize reality, and then you sort of turn towards spiritual life and surrender. So even that ends up being a positive thing. We generally want to avoid any kind of calamity, but sometimes calamities come. In the Vedas, in the Bhagavatam, Queen Kunti is praying for the calamities, because she says that when the calamities come, then we take shelter of Krishna. And so she's praying for the calamities to come in again, because by seeing those calamities, then we see the real position of this world. We don't try and enjoy the prison anymore. We try and get out to the real thing. So that's a high level, of course, to pray for that. But yeah, calamities are going to happen anywhere in the life. So when they do, we usually take things more seriously. We realise, yeah, we are suffering here, so we need to get out, escape the prison to the eternal spiritual realm, Satchidananda Vigraha, eternal bliss and knowledge. Thank you. Jai Sri Krishna.